Hi guys, Marian here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to What the Heck is Going On College Campuses. I wanted to share about this topic with you guys because number one, I went to UCLA. It's a very important part of who I am, my life, and I care about it. And I care about the Jewish students there because I was a Jewish student there and across all the other universities in America. So let's sit down, let's chat. It's late night. I'm in my office, and I thought it'd be just a good chance to talk to you guys, share some thoughts and experiences and questions I have, and give you guys a chance to share as well. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're new here, by the way, welcome. My name's Marian. I make videos about being a mom and being a Jewish mom, and I like to, from time to time, weigh in on what the heck's going on in the Jewish world. And ever since October 7th, of course, there have been so many emotional moments and things to share with you guys, and I felt very honored to have this space to do that with you guys. So recently, in the past few weeks, university campuses across the United States have become this hotbed of anti-Israel and anti-Jewish sentiment. And I think a lot of people are wondering why, how that happened, why when Israel has hostages who are still being held hostage, who family are still being sent videos of them showing severe signs of torture, and when the group who has taken them hostage and is taking responsibility for those actions and for provoking Israel has no interest in surrendering or ending the war. So, how has the mood in American college campuses changed to be so vehemently against Israel, given what we all know happened so many months ago now? And I want to share some interesting perspective on this. I also wanted to mention that, does it say it on here? Oh yeah, I actually majored in political science at UCLA. So while I'm not the foremost expert in Middle East politics, I am educated on this topic, and also just wanted to share, my thoughts and feelings about it in a personal way. One of the things I think is really interesting is if you were born when I was, as a millennial, I'm 38 now, you experienced domestic and international terrorism in a very real way. All of us who are my age remember poignantly that one morning in September when we literally saw people who went to work one day thinking it was just another average day, falling from the sky trying to escape their imploding office buildings on September 11th. And if you're Jewish, you have very real connections to terrorism in Israel. I personally was affected by it with a good close family friend who died in a terrorist attack, and I've shared about that as well. And for the college students that are out protesting now, most of them were born, so it's now 2024, right? The seniors on campus are 21 years old. So they were only just born after September 11th, 2001. Most of them were born a few years after that. So they don't have the same, I'm not saying all of them, of course, everyone's got different experiences. It may not have been born in the United States. But I think what's really surprising to people my age and older who experienced September 11th and vividly remember, what it's like to have parts of the world, chanting death to America, and now to be so confused about how American university kids are supporting those same people. So that's something I first thought of, is that they were born after September 11th. So this whole culture that we were raised in, the effect that had on us, it's so different for them. It's something they read about in books and their parents may have told them about. But I think it just feels very different to put on a keffiyeh or to support Hamas, knowing, what we know versus what they have only heard of and read of, rather than experienced on a personal level. The other thing I think is really interesting is many of the super liberal causes and people who speak for them are very adamant that being anti-Zionist is not a form of anti-Semitism. And from the Jewish perspective, it feels impossible to separate those two ideas because the notion of a Jewish homeland is inherently what is creating a safety net in a very real way for millions of Jewish people. Israel took in Jews who were persecuted in their native homelands, especially in the Arab homelands around the area and other places as well. They took in Soviet Jews, Ethiopian Jews. So the Zionist state, in a very real way for many Jewish people, is the only life source that they had. So to say that that idea of that country existing isn't anti-Semitic, when so many people who live there, you could argue almost all of them, are there because they don't have another homeland to go to. And the reason for that is because they are Jewish. So that's why it's very hard for Jewish people to reconcile this idea. Now, there's also a lot of conspiracy theories out there about how these students are being funded, who's paying for their $500 North Face stunts, who's behind a lot of social media that you're seeing. I know personally, as an influencer online, it's very easy to see that certain accounts who will leave like one word or just some flags up, comment videos, are actually bots and not actual people with real accounts. And so it's a very interesting to research who funds those bots and how that works, and also which videos trend in the algorithm and inspire people to then take action in real life on college campuses. We all know that kids these days, college kids, are of course on their phones and being influenced by TikTok, and we all know how videos trend on TikTok. The more aggressive, violent, and divisive they are, the more interesting they are to people, and the more they'll trend. And I think that there's a real difference between how ideas and swells of enthusiasm for an idea can take off when an algorithm that has different factors at play it can shape that. I think you can, if you pay attention to social media, you can see the real difference between what's happening on TikTok versus what's happening on Instagram and Facebook and on YouTube, and which videos become virally popular based on how the money works and how the algorithm works. And it isn't always which ones genuinely have the most support versus which ones can be paid to have the most support. But I think ultimately what's hard for the Jewish community is that Jewish children, students, are unsafe on their campus, so much so that universities have made decisions to cancel classes, to say that kids should just attend on Zoom. And I mean, of course, you know, this is the end of the year. They've paid tens of thousands of dollars to go here, work their whole lives to get in. We've got graduations canceled. And of course, in some ways, this feels like a win for people who are trying to bring attention to the cause. But I think this idea that Jewish students in America deserve to suffer because of anything that Israel does, which of course has something to do with them, is again inherently an anti-Semitic trope. I do think there's a lot of positive things to say about the fact that college kids are interested in advocating for what they believe in. But I think what's also very clear is that not all of them have a fundamental or even basic knowledge of what's going on in the Middle East conflict. And none of them will speak on camera. They almost all are covering their faces for COVID, and just doing other things that feel disingenuous to their cause, intimidating Jewish students, not advocating for the release of hostages or a diplomatic negotiation for Hamas to surrender. I think it'd be very different if those things, weren't taking place or were taking place, and a lot of fears and intimidation tactics that they're using wouldn't be as worrisome. So I think the fact that people care at all about anything these days is quite impressive, and I hope that through all this enthusiasm, we'll end up with peace. Wishing you all a good night. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.